These are simply incredible. In order to allow Pakistanis to install PP2 water pipes by themselves, this high-tech workshop in Peshawar uses the traditional sand casting process to produce affordable and durable PP2 water pipe heat containers. The workers are currently processing the yarn mold used to glue the heating plate of the heat container. This process requires placing the already made heating rods in the mold to glue the energy, and the heating plate forms a perfect hole. At the same time, a sandbox mold for gluing the heating wood is also needed to make the heat container to adapt to water pipes of different diameters and specifications. At the same time, workers on the other side are melting donkey water. Looking at the content of impurities, most of the raw materials are recycled aluminum alloy waste. Then the workers will inject the melted donkey water into the sandbox mold through the glue column port on the mold, etc. When the glue column is completed, you can open the sandbox mold while it is hot and demold the column inside. You can see that the heating plate has formed a complete hole with the heating rod, which can make the heat transfer more efficient. On the other side, the workers are making the handle of the heat container. The square box on the handle is used to install the temperature controller. The cover of the box is hung on this side. In order to make the heat container more beautiful and durable, these accessories need to be surface treated. Processing workers will use electrostatic spraying to spray and absorb a relatively uniform layer of powder coating on the surface of these accessories. When all accessories are sprayed, workers can push the mobile cart full of accessories into the oven. In this way, under the high temperature of the gas furnace, the powder coating on the surface of the accessories will flow and solidify, so that a very tight protective layer can be formed on the surface of the accessories. Then, the assembly of the hot container can be started. Workers need to first drill out the mounting hole on the heating plate for fixing the handle. Drill out the mounting hole for the temperature sensor in the center of the side. Then use a connecting piece to weld the two heating wires at one end to make the two heating rods form a series connection. Then weld the wires to the two heating wires at the other end. Then use a yellow wax sleeve to insulate the exposed connection to avoid heat from the container. In case of leakage during use, a square adapter tube needs to be installed on the heating plate. The heating plate can be fixed to the control handle by bolts. After the control handle is assembled, two single particle indicator lights need to be installed in the middle square and middle. Yellow wax sleeves also need to be put on the wires. To ensure that the high temperature of the heating plate does not affect the insulation performance of the wires, the heat container needs to be installed. The thermostat worker will first use screws to fix the thermostat in the square shell and put the temperature sensor into the pre-flow hole of the heating plate, and then insert the prepared power cord from the end of the handle. In this way, the temperature of the heating plate can be adjusted by the knob on the back of the thermostat. The thermostat can be wired randomly. The wiring method of this thermostat is also relatively simple. The thermostat is equivalent to a switch with temperature detection. By comparing the heat, the temperature sensor of the heating plate is turned on and off by the value in the set temperature value so as to keep it at the set temperature. Although the conditions here are relatively simple, the assembly process is relatively good. After the wiring is completed, the temperature knob on the back can be assembled. Then the cover needs to be fixed on the square shell with anchors. At this point, the production of the entire water pipe heat container is completed. So after watching the whole process, what do you think of the heat container made in this way?